Thank you for tuning into this episode of Wrestling with Awareness. First off, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Kian. The links to her social media will be down below in the description. It is the last day of May, which means it's the last day of Mental Health Awareness Month. You know, on this podcast, mental health awareness never finishes, but I thought it'd be fitting for a mental health strict episode to end off May. And I did advertise 3 mental health episodes this month, but I gave you 2. My buddy couldn't make it onto the show, but he will be on in the future. For any of you guys wondering, Mr. Positivity will be on this show in the future, near future. And lastly, for all of you guys listening or watching, you will notice the interview is a little bit glitchy and the audio does get a bit staticky at times. I really apologize for that. The file was corrupt when I was editing it, and I did my absolute best to make it run as smoothly as possible. But there is some hiccups in there where the audio gets a little bit funky or the video glitches out. But it's still a very good episode, so I hope you guys all enjoy. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Awareness. Today, I have a very special guest for all of you. Today, I'm actually joined by a psychotherapist. Would you like to introduce yourself, Kian?
Sure. Thank you for having me to this show. It's my pleasure. My name is Kiandokht Gharib. I'm a registered psychotherapist qualifying member in Ontario. And my specialties is in depression, anxiety, grief and loss, and basically life transitions. And I'm happy to have a interview with you.
Oh, of course. I'm glad to have you on the show. And I really like to kick it off with some positivity because mental health and finding positivity, I find something very strong within that all is being grateful for things. I think gratitude is very important. So, 2021 has been a year that I feel like it's been different for everybody. So, what are some grateful things? What are some things that you're grateful for to come out of 2021?
Exactly. I cannot agree with you more. I think for myself, like despite all difficulties I went through, like some other people, uh, I lost my full job that I really loved it, and because we could not no longer practice that. Despite all those difficult facts, I am so grateful and happy that I'm healthy, my family is healthy, and COVID, we were not infected by COVID, and if, of course, we have been practicing since last March all the protocols, social distancing, staying at home, and I think these are the grateful things for this year.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like, even with the lockdown, I know because you and I, we both live in Ontario. So I know it can get a bit frustrating for people out there. And that includes me too. But definitely grateful, to be living, to have my family safe. And, and especially during this generation, we're very lucky that we can connect with people just through our phones and through the screens and everything. So we definitely a lot to be
Exactly.
grateful for. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what inspired you to become a psychotherapist?
Okay. That's a very interesting. And I love it to just share it with everybody because my first degree is computer programming. It has nothing to do with psychology. And I actually, but I was always fascinated with psychology, human behaviors, and human thoughts, and all those sort of stuff. And just because my father is a psychologist, he's a retired professor right now. But like since I was teenager, I was so fascinated. I used to go to his library and just grab his books, whatever was interesting to me, reading anything, journals, articles, books, whatever. And I was really fascinated. But at age 18, actually, I had no idea at that time what is the best options for me. So I had to just, like choose computer programming based on my in high school. And just because I love working with people and I knew that, so I became a teacher, instructor, actually computer instructor in a vocational schools. And then I was like kind of was a teacher for like almost 6 years. But like in 2018, that was a year that I moved to Canada. I emigrated here by myself. It was a time that I was thinking, I want to do something different. So, no, this is not I really want to do. I want to do something different. And the opportunity of being volunteer in a CCVT, it's a Canadian Center for Victim of Torture. I used to be a volunteer there for a year, and I did a lot of different kind of helping to new immigrants and new refugees, mostly women that they were coming from a war-torn countries. I helped them in like interpreting, translating, teaching computer. By spending more times with those clients, they found me very trustworthy. I'm a good listener. They opened it up and talked about their deep feelings and shared their thoughts and feelings. And I found that like I really loved it, working with people and helping with them. And I thought that, oh, okay, so people find me very trustworthy, good listener. These are very good things for, and I and at the same time I love psychology. So that was a time that I went back to school. I started from scratch here. I did my undergrad in psychology, and my master's degree, I did counseling psychology specifically because I really wanted to involve in counseling and empowering people, helping people to like all the challenges. And it is very enjoyable for me when I see that there is even a small amount of a change in people's life. And it's I think it's a great thing that I can see in my field.
Yeah, of course. And it's I'm glad to hear that you found what you really want to do and that it's something you're really passionate about. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially in this day and age, they listen especially a lot of kids growing up with, I know a lot of my friends are this way, they listen to their parents a little bit too much. And I know some people out there think that's impossible, but it is true.
Exactly.
You have to do what you love. You have to find what you're passionate about because you're going to be working for the rest of your life. But the one quote that
Exactly.
always resonated with me is, it's not really work if you love what you do, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, so it's
And
great to
s-
see
and
you.
And one, thank you. And one
Yeah.
thing that I always mention and remind to everybody, never is too late. Age or anything, it's not. Just do what you want to do, what you have talents, what you have passion, what you love to do. Then you'll be successful. It doesn't matter whatever it is. So I think that's a great thing. Sometimes people they find it, oh, maybe it's too late for me, or maybe I'm a mom, I have kids, I don't have a time. But no, at any age you can change your career, your life, your whatever that you want to do.
I agree. I think, yeah, it's true. Age is just a number, honestly, and you should strive to do everything you want in life, right? Because
Exactly.
you want to live with no regrets. That's one thing. And a lot of the most successful people in the world will say their biggest fear is dying with regret. So do everything,
Exactly.
try to get rid of all the what ifs in your head. I think that's a
Exactly.
very good way to live. So, yeah, so you're a psychotherapist. So you've been involved with mental health for a while. And honestly, within the pandemic, I feel like I'm curious to hear what a professional would think. Like, how do you believe the pandemic has impacted the mental health of like people like all around in general?
Oh, definitely. I think pandemic has a huge impact on everybody's life, uh, teenagers, adults, parents and new moms, anyone, they have their own struggles, especially people who has lost their job and their income. That was a huge deal for them because losing job is related to low self-esteem, anxiety, and stress, and also depression. And on top of that, quarantining that we are experiencing in Ontario for the past, I don't know, 6 months, 7 months, or something, it's linked to feeling loneliness and hopelessness and being afraid of the future, what's happening. This uncertainty about future, it's a huge factor that everybody's actually dealing with that, and it causes for sure mental health, some disorders, maybe anxiety, deep depressions, and in some people, unfortunately, it causes for them like a behavior problems, such as being involved with substance abuse, and definitely has a huge impact.
Yeah, absolutely. So anybody listening who's struggling, just try to remember that you're not alone here and that we're all going to get through this together, and there is an end to the pandemic. Sometimes it seems like there isn't, but trust me, there will be. So,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely important to
Yeah,
keep that in mind.
we like exactly. We have to be hopeful for future and pandemic, and we have to. And so my advice is for those people who are managing their feelings, good, just good. Do whatever you can do it. But for those who have a huge difficulty and they find it is unmanageable, please reach out for help, for counseling, for therapy, for serious help.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody out there who believes that they need help, go reach for it. There's no shame at all, and honestly, it'll make your life a whole lot better. So I definitely
Exactly.
agree on that. Definitely go out and get some help if you need to. And you did briefly mention that it did have a lot of effect on teenagers, but I'd like to say that I feel like even before the pandemic, mental health has been a very large like issue for teenagers because the suicide rate seems to just be increasing amongst teenagers. Why do you think that is?
Of course. Well, teenagers are under tremendous pressure at the perfect time, let alone during pandemic, and when they separated from their friends, their extended families, and coping strategies. Um, so, based on research has shown that those teenagers who have been bullied are at higher risk of suicide. And because we know that bullying contributes to depression, low self-esteem, hopelessness, loneliness, helplessness, and imagine when teenager they feel all those things, they see no hope for future. Um, I do also believe that social media has a huge impact on teenagers' beliefs about their body image. That we can see nowadays that, following celebrities, models, influencer, actually, by following all these teenagers trying to identify themselves with all these group, and the result is they feel like their is disaster, their life is it's miserable. So like the perception of being too much, being overweight, or being too thin, or not being fit with society, I believe that is linked with the increased risk of suicide among of teenager, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. And I do agree with you. And even I'd also like to say for everybody listening, especially with the body image thing, what you see online isn't real. A lot of it is photoshopped, and it's like it's lighting, it's people looking their best in good
Exactly.
lighting and photo. Yeah, like for example, even like for example, like I'm a young guy, so I really enjoy going to the gym and working out. Sometimes I'll post pictures at the gym, but a lot of people don't understand
Hmm.
that's while I'm working out. So the lighting in the gym is perfect. I'm looking like at my best because you have a pump going. That's not how I look every single day,
Exactly.
24/7. That's not how I look all the time, and that goes for everybody online. So just keep that in mind, everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and I hear from my clients that something just came to my mind that I want to add it, because I hear from my client that like some teenagers sometimes they compare themselves to models, but like people, it's important to know that, you know, models, they have a professional makeup, they, as you said, they have a professional lighting, they have a, as you, they might use some sort of application as Photoshop, they make them to perfect. This is not even the reality life of models in Instagram or anywhere else. They don't have that lifestyle, but unfortunately teenagers, they receive that and they perceive that they're not, they compare themselves, they perceive that they're not perfect like the models.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I do agree social media definitely has a big impact. I think it's good for everybody to take a break from social media. I remember last year, actually around this time last year, I was just I think it was because it was the beginning of the pandemic, something along those lines, but mentally I just wasn't doing that great. And I swear to you, I took maybe a week break just from social media in general.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just amazing. Like I felt totally way better. So honestly, even just taking a couple days a week, however long you need from social media, I think it can be a great
Definitely.
yeah, great on the mental health. And I also do think in a way, like you did mention, that school is definitely also a contributor, whether it's the kids getting bullied there or it's stress. And like, is there anything that you believe as a professional that like schools could implement or change just to improve the overall mental health of students?
Yeah, I think, like, you know, schools is a great place for children, youth, the teenagers, because they spend a lot of time, but most of their time at the schools. So it's a great place for practicing mental health and well-being. I think promoting active living, such as, you know, health and physical education classes, and also teaching children healthy eating and providing healthy eating options for them. That's very important. Promoting positive self-esteem, and also creating an open and safe and non-judgmental environment for them to talk about their feelings and their problems and question about that, because, you know, children are looking for a secure and safe place to open it up, and if they don't feel, they don't find it, they can't, and they hold it in themselves, so they might then experience a feeling of depression or anxiety. And the most important things is implementing and supporting the supporting safe um, uh, and the supporting, sorry, safe and accepting schools, such as prevention bullying, as we mentioned, and like intervention policies. It is very important.
Yeah, of course. And like I do think schools when it comes to bullying, I do think schools already do a good job in teaching kids not to bully. At the end of the
Yeah,
day, like kids are kids, it's going to happen. I think where they can really improve is like the mental health aspect for the kids who are being bullied. Maybe have someone at the school for them to talk to, like anonymously, or just have someone for them to talk to
exactly.
privately. Always there. I think that could help. And also just teaching students about mental health early on, teaching them early on. If you're feeling this way, you can get help. You can talk to somebody. Like
Yeah.
I just think just getting that into their heads, because like if we're being real here, especially like in your early days of school, some of the stuff that they teach you there, you don't necessarily need to know for the future, and they could implement things like this that you really need to know. That way, when you're when you're not feeling your best, you know what to do. But yeah, I agree with you completely.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things that they could do, and I think they're on their way to doing so, honestly. So yeah, but
Yeah,
as you
like
yeah.
school counselors are the great things that they are, and I hope that everybody has an access to school counselors. And as you said, that to help children or teenagers, here's the space that you have whenever you feel that you're not feel good or it's unmanageable, or just go talk freely. But it has to be, like children needs to feel that they're secure and they safe and they feel that they can trust to just open up.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, because especially like in high school and elementary school, a lot of kids will
Yeah,
look at each other and they see, if it's not private enough or you're not feeling secure enough, you're not going to open up that way, because you're going to think, "Oh,
exactly.
what if all the other kids hear about this, or
Exactly.
what if they see me go talk to this person?" But yeah, that's
Exactly.
why I think just a lot more security and better privacy, and I think they're going to be on their way to changing things for the better, for sure. And as you said, one of your expertise is depression. So, like, why do you believe that the depression rate seems to be increasing?
Okay, I believe that with the increase of individualism, um, the um, with the increase of individualism comes a lesser self of belongingness, low self-esteem, and depressions. In the individualistic era, we can see that the powerful bond between families and between local communities is almost vanished. Especially in North America, people usually measure their success by finance and professional title, and they are very obsessed with others' success, and by seeing that, it really affects them and feeling low and small about that. And again, as I believe about social media has a huge impact these days, in even adults' life. It's like people keep, checking their Instagrams pages to see what friends they do, what family members they do, which vacation did they go. So all the post pictures, nice videos, they compare themselves with them, not because their life is miserable, but because they envy that they could do it the same. But again, they have to, put in mind that they are checking their lows when they are lows with when they are highs, when other people are highs in Instagram or something. Because usually we post nice pictures, and when we are in a good time, when we are in vacation, when we're dressed up, something. We don't good when we're depressed, we don't feel good or something. Other people perceive, oh, like those people, my friends, family members, everybody in social media, they are having good time. They are always in highs, and we are experiencing lows. So I think that people should evaluate their social lives, time that they spend, and also make sure that it does not interfere with their mental health. And also, too much spending time in screens, even like research has shown that spending too much on screens, it's related to psychosomatic disease, insomnia, or gainless, or weight loss or gain. So we should keep in mind that to reduce the amount of work with social medias. And I personally do not follow the page that doesn't give me feeling good. So I also do not. I don't need to have a huge following list or something. If I see that I'm not receiving like a good vibes, as people they say, I don't have to follow. I don't have to checking out, even if it's my friend or whatever. So I don't have to be involved in their daily basis, pictures or something. I don't need to know that where did they go, what is their stories today or something, if I don't feel good about that.
I agree. I
Yeah,
think social media, like, it's real, but it's fake at the same time. The happy stuff they're showing, it's real, but that's their happiest. That's when they're all the way up here. They're not showing you
exactly.
when they're all the way down here. So I couldn't agree more for
Exactly.
sure. Yeah, so always keep that in mind
Exactly.
when you're looking at social media, guys. And so what are we spoke
Exactly.
about depression a lot here. So you're also an expert in anxiety. Like, what are some things that you believe people need to better understand when it comes to, like, dealing with a friend or a loved one that has anxiety?
Okay. So if someone's open up about their anxiety, if your friends or loved one, whoever, that's a great point. So you can just catch it and take an opportunity to talk about it with them and just openly ask them, okay, what kind of help, what kind of support I can do for you? Do you want me to check in on you? Do you want me just give you a space? Do you want me just call you regularly? Do you want me come over to stay with you, or do you want me give you advice? Any, because people are different when it comes to anxiety. They have a different expectation. Anxious people, some they want to just have a space. Some they want to reach out to talk. Some they want to just spend some time with friends for go out. So I think it's very supportive that you as a friend or like a spouse or whoever, to just ask them directly, how can I support you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's some great advice, honestly. So thank you so much for that. And I'm curious to know, because you've been in the mental health field for so long, and it does seem to be a passion of yours. If you don't mind me asking, of course, have you ever struggled with your mental health? And, like, what advice? Oh, you've already given so much advice, but if you have any more advice for anybody listening, what would it be?
um, Advice for specifically mental health. uh, my advice is that when things getting when you see that your feelings are not manageable, please reach out for help. Please reach out to a counselor, psychotherapist, or you need to receive special treatment or professional help. The first things, maybe it's just, calling to your family doctor to have a quick consultation with them, to just talk about your feelings, your thoughts. If it is depression, if it's anxiety, they can just refer you to psychology, psychotherapist, or whoever is the best for you. But please do not, make it to be too late. I mean, when I say too late, it's not that it's not curable. It's just because when you deal with that for a long time, it's going to be like chronic, and maybe it's difficult to to have a treatment or something. So once you think that things you cannot manage your feelings or your thoughts, just please reach out for help.
Absolutely. So once again, everybody, please reach out for help if you're struggling and you feel you need to. There's no shame in it, honestly. It's
Of
for the
course.
better, and it's because you're loved, you're appreciated. Everybody wants you here, so you might as well do it, and you will feel 10 times better when you do so. So everybody
Of
out there,
course.
definitely do that. And I also know that you are an expert in grief and loss, which is actually very interesting because I don't think I've ever spoke to anybody who's an expert in that. So why don't you explain that a little bit, and, like, what advice you give to anybody, like, coping with the loss of a loved one or anything like that?
Okay, but for grief and loss, I have the same kind of, advice. For those people who are experiencing grief and loss, I am so sorry, but this is part of life, and it is, we need to accept that. So your emotions are valid, and whether you feel it's all valid, but when you feel that is unmanageable, please reach out for someone who is specialized in grief and loss and get the help. Or maybe you can just to reach out to help from like those group supports, which is very important for grief and loss.
Yeah, of course. So make sure you guys do that if anybody out there is struggling with grief and loss. And finally, last but not least, after all of this interview, after everything that you've done within mental health and your field, how do you personally keep a positive and healthy mindset?
Okay. I went through a lot of difficulties and challenges in my life. As I mentioned, I immigrated from Middle East to Canada by myself 13 years ago. That was a huge change for me, and I used to experiences like the seasonal depression and anxiety those years that I had to study and I had to isolate myself just because of school and work and those stuff. Um, I think like life or my experiences from life, I learned that things are changing. Like the things change constantly in our life, whether good or bad, it doesn't matter. So when it comes to good things in my life, I'm always thankful and appreciating things, and I try to enjoy as much as possible. I don't take things for granted because I know this is a moment that might not happen in future for me, so I enjoy and the things at the moment. And when it comes to difficulty and challenges and stressful times, I am sure that I can just go and pass. I can go through and pass it, and there is always something good happening later. So when it comes to difficulty, I myself focus on physical. Um, my physical health a lot because I've learned that with doing exercise, practicing mindfulness, and attending gym. I mean, before pandemic, I used to attend regularly to gym, and it helped me to boost my mental health and physical health, and I was so happy with that. And I can say also I have a self compassion, which means that allows me to accept myself, do not compare myself to others, and just do the best version of myself and be the best version of myself regardless my weaknesses and flaws.
Yeah, of course. And I think that's a great way to do it, honestly, keeping your mental health and physical health interconnected, because that is very true. You want to be fit and healthy because that also contributes to feeling good up here. And then of course
Exactly.
just living in the moment, understanding each moment, taking it in and being present in time and mindfulness and all
Exactly.
that stuff you mentioned. I think that's a great way and a great mindset to have. So thank you so much for joining me.
You're very
Would you like to tell anybody where to follow you on social media?
I'm sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. It was a very nice, conversation with you. Yes, I would love to see any people on my page. I'm gonna have more educational videos. My page. Do you want me to say, or you're gonna say that? It's
Uh, I'll have the link to it all down below in the
Yeah. Okay.
description.
Sure.
So you
Oh,
guys
of
can all
course.
click the link to that and find Kian's page on Instagram. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining me. We have just wrestled the mind with Kian. Thank you everybody for watching.